So these levers should be like this. They should be stiff and they should centre. But this one on the right, for the right track control, has gone all floppy and it doesn't centre anymore. It doesn't stay exactly where you put it, but it doesn't go back to the centre. It tends to flop towards the reverse position. I take my hand off, you can see it just moves, and that causes the track to creep around even when you haven't got your foot on it. Not a situation that's very good when we're working on a steep hill. So me and Rob took the mud out and the floor out and a bit more rubber mat out and sweeped it up a bit. Took the front panel off and looked to understand what these levers do. And we discovered that this one here is the one that is operated by the left lever, and this one is operated by the right lever. So this is the one that jiggles about. You can jiggle it with your thumb from right down there, which you shouldn't be able to do. So we took the pin off that holds the good one onto the hydraulic control to work out. We took the windscreen out as well and make more space, and we took the pedals off. At least the weight of the pedals not being there will help it not flop. And we took that bit of floor off, but we couldn't get it off the knobs, so it was pointless, so wouldn't bother taking that bit off. But anyway, we discovered that the lever is stiff because of a spring inside the hydraulic block, which means we have to get this little cap off here where the arrow is pointing and replace the spring. So anyway, we knew what we had to do, put it back together, carried on using it for a bit then, and got the parts and took it all apart again, took all the panels off, got the leaf blower on it to blow out the dirt. You may have noticed there's a lot of dirt in some of those other pictures when we were looking at it. I bought an air compressor to blow out more dirt, a Stanley one from Screwfix. So we did lots of brushing and lots of blowing and wiping until we were reasonably satisfied that there wasn't any loose dirt going to get into the hydraulic oil when we took it apart. So where is it? It's where the end of that toothbrush is poking. There, that black bit on the bottom of the toothbrush.
Down there somewhere.
That's what we got to take off, and it's held on with two Allen keys.
That black lump.
So the challenge is to get an Allen key in there and undo it, even if it's quite tight, which it might be. Even if we can't get the Allen key in a dead straight line onto it. So at this point we don't know. So in preparation for this, we bought some Allen keys, which are just straight Allen keys with a screwdriver type head on. The 1/4 inch hex, I think they are. Got the first one out. Got the second one out on the cover that goes over the spring. There's the spring. The spring has a screw in the back of it. We can't undo the spring because it's only held by this lever, so it would be unreasonable to put that much force on it. So take this little clip out, which allows us to push that little pin out. It should disengage the attachment to the operating lever, but it doesn't because you can't push the pin over far enough. So what we did is to undo the screws on the cap. This is the front side, the cap on the next to it here. It's undoing these as well, undo those Allen screws. And that meant then that that cap could be just pushed gently to one side. There, like that. Which meant then that that pin could come out far enough, just so that putting that, do a bit of a fiddle there. Once it came that far, then the linkage dropped down. We could rotate it, take the pin out, pull the mechanism out. Hydraulic oil flooded out as expected. Probably about a litre of it, I think. And then we were able to put the operating mechanism in the vise and get some proper tension on there to undo the old spring. So off comes the old spring and the old bits. That's the broken spring. And this is the new kit you get. The cap, the spring, the seal of the cap, the pressure plate for the bottom of the spring, and 2 sealing rings. The second one's an O-ring, and new screws. So on that went, hopefully in the right order. And this is the little operating lever. I guess it sends the flow in one direction or the other direction. So back it went in, threaded it through into its little hydraulic hole, and fortunately it went in smoothly. It didn't catch in anything, so we were quite happy about that. I realised the bit under the cap isn't full of hydraulic oil, it's dry, so I thought it probably best put a bit of grease on that. So on went the grease, on went the cap. I don't think there's any video of me flicking the levers and going they work, but they did. Then we had to try and get this little pin back in, and this mechanism. Fortunately that wasn't too difficult with Rob there with his long nose pliers, and that little pin was a bit more awkward. You can see we're struggling a bit. Kept on poking it and pushing it and trying to grip it with the pliers. Yeah, there's the broken spring. Not of a particularly good video. It's a bit fuzzy, I'm sorry about that. And then we put that cap that we loosened back on, and we replaced all the plates. Just put the levers back on the pedals back on the levers, I mean. Check them, tidied up. Moved the hydraulic oil out of the way so we didn't drive out of it. Because actually, doing the hydraulic oil was done at the same time. So we drained the hydraulic and replaced the hydraulic filters at the same time as doing this. Off home for coffee.